Hello, my Sagittarius risings. If you are clicking on this video, then I am assuming you have a Sagittarius rising. If you don't, then you can keep watching, I guess. So if you are new here, my name is Astro Tarot, and on this channel I do pick a card readings slash general tarot readings whenever I feel called to do them. And in today's reading, we're going to be looking at what is next in love for Sagittarius risings. So like I said, if you don't have a Sag rising, you can check out my channel because I will have a reading for every one of the rising signs on there. So feel free to check those out if this is not your rising sign. But without further ado, let's get into the reading. So the way that this is going to work is we have these three kind of piles of cards here. On the right hand, or I lied, left hand side, we have this card to represent your energy at the time that you're finding this reading. Hopefully, if this sounds like you, it'll be a little bit easier to determine whether this is actually your reading or not. And on this side, we have a card to represent how your energy is going to be showing up in this next phase of your love life. This is just sort of the energy that you're in, the kind of vibe that you're bringing. And then in the middle, we're going to be seeing what is actually happening, what's coming next in your love life. So if that sounds interesting to you, then continue watching. So to start with your energy at this time, we have the Father. The light attributes are talent for creating and supporting life, positive guiding light within a tribal unit. The shadow is dictatorial control and abuse of authority. And then for your energy in this next phase, we have the Gambler. Willingness to follow intuition even when others doubt you is the light attribute. And for the shadow, we have relying on luck rather than hard work. Okay, and for what's coming next, I love these colors. It's very much, literally, it's kind of like my vibe with my skin and my shirt. I know it's a weird thing to say, but I don't care. I like the colors, okay? For what's coming next, we have Eye of the Needle, intentionality. We have the 7th chakra, Archangel Uriel. This is the crown chakra. We have Anna, grandmother of Jesus, seeding the light, laying foundations, divine plan. We have Keepers of the Earth. You are not alone. Ancient ancestors stand beside you. And finally, we have Out Trick-or-Treating. We're here. Okay, let's see, what does this mean? I kind of like this there. That kind of looks nice. No, that's not cute. All right, so I first want to say that you don't have to be a father or even a man or masculine person in order for that to be your energy. What I do sense here, especially with this card, and honestly with this card too, is you, at the time that you're finding this reading, actually you very well might be a father, or you're wanting to be one. And I almost have this feeling that you, like, I'm thinking of somebody like nurturing something, nurturing life, like wanting to be a provider, protector, kind of just like a parent in general. However, there's this feeling I have where you are becoming less practical in this next phase. There's this feeling of like, and I don't mean less practical in the sense of immature. It feels, however people might see it as immature, it seems to me like you are, in this next phase regarding love, you're sort of being a little bit more, I don't know why the word floozy is, I don't know what the hell that means, but that felt like the right word to say. I like this card, like the word intuition feels right. Like I feel like you're being more intuitive, just kind of more going with the flow. But the reason why people might think it's immature or maybe even messy or dangerous is because I kind of feel like you do want kids. And I sort of feel like you know in your gut that you're ready to have a child, that you want to have children, that you're ready to be committed. However, for some reason, the people around you don't think that that's the case. Now, with this card here, and with Keepers of the Earth, I feel like, and with intentionality, I feel like you have maybe have always wanted to be a parent, or have always wanted to, or at the very least, even if it's like a new realization that you're having, you are definitely like planning this. This is giving me planned parenting vibes. Like somebody being like, okay, well, I want to have a child by like in the next 2 years. That means I need to have all these things figured out, and then, you know, we'll try getting pregnant at this time or whatever, you know what I mean? Like there's this feeling of planning things. And I think that you're considering even like the tiniest details, not tiny details, but things that like really only parents would think of. Like, I don't know, I've never really considered maybe like stockpiling diapers or something, or like baby proofing the house, or maybe you're considering things like, okay, I have a lot of neighbors that are really loud, or neighbors, or maybe my apartment allows smoking indoors, I don't know, and that's something that you're a little nervous about, right? There's things that like you're really thinking ahead for like, how is my life going to evolve if there's a child here? But what's interesting, oh, I see. Okay, so I was watching a tarot reading on Chloe Taylor's, I think it was Chloe Taylor's channel. This is the second time I brought up Chloe Taylor in my readings in this like section. Anyway, this card came out in one of her readings, and she said something that for some reason never clicked with me when I saw this card, when I read the meanings. And she talked about how, if you think about it, like I've never read the Bible fully, but I'm assuming that Anna, grandmother of Jesus, was not alive when Jesus was born, because I'd never heard of her until I saw this card. And I went to a Catholic school for a long time. I don't remember hearing about Anna. But without her, and without her birthing children, Jesus would have never been born. Like, if you think about like the biology of it, maybe Jesus would have been born, but obviously in a different family line, because if she didn't have kids, then one of Jesus's parents would not have been there, right? And so it's like she laid foundations in the very literal sense of like she had kids, and then from there this other child was born. I always considered this in the sense of like, you know, doing things that are more like kind of doing things and not necessarily getting the credit for it, doing things but not having your work be the most publicized, or like I always use the example of like, you know how sometimes in movies the actor and the director and the producer, they get all the fame and all the hype, but nobody ever really is like, oh hey, the costume designer, the makeup artist, the people who built the sets, they don't always get the same amount of general publicity, but they are still so important for the movie's production, right? That's how I always imagined this card. But after I saw her video, I was like, wait, that's so true. And then when we have this Ancient Ancestors card, and even this Father card, this is making me feel like maybe there's a grandparent who's very like, who's really wants you to have kids, but is also really like, is both somebody that you look up to and that you want their approval, but at the same time, I feel this feeling of like, they might be getting too involved with this. And you're wondering like, maybe this is my business, maybe this has nothing to do with you, grandparent, but at the same time, you want them involved. Then with this crown chakra card too, like if you are somebody who is spiritual, you might practice voodoo. I just feel, I don't know, that could be the case for some of you. But you might do ancestral work, even if you don't consider it like a spiritual practice. Maybe it's a cultural practice, like maybe you have an altar for passed on loved ones, that kind of thing. Maybe you give offerings, that kind of thing. That could be significant, and maybe that's how you're communicating or receiving messages from this person somehow. But what I see for you is you're becoming less practical and more intuitive, in the sense of like you're trusting yourself more rather than looking for everyone's approval. Because I don't think that you're becoming less practical as in you're being immature with this decision to have children. Also, if you don't want children, honestly, this might not be your reading, because this feels like what it's about. This feels like somebody who, in terms of love, like, and what's crazy is I don't even feel like, you might have a partner, you might be married, you might be dating somebody, but they're not coming through here. This is about you and children, like you and your decision to have kids. That's what this feels like it's about. And with intentionality, you know, your guides are really emphasizing the fact that, like, as I'm sure you know, having children is a really big deal and it's a big commitment. And it's something that requires all of your attention and focus. And there's the potential for really beautiful, really amazing results, right? Because you have a child, you know, you're nurturing life, like that's really cool. It's also really important that you stay focused on this, right? And it's great that you're taking a, you know, more open approach, I guess, and being more like allowing is my video even recording? Oh my gosh, hold on. Why do I have this feeling it's not recording? Nope, it is. Okay. I sort of feel like I do think you're being you're prepared and you're preparing yourself for this new change. But there's sometimes this feeling of like you feel really supported, but also sometimes you don't feel supported. And it could be this thing of like the difference between your grandparents' generation and your parents slash siblings. You know what I mean? Like there's different gaps. So maybe your grandparent or parents are really excited. Grandparent or grandparents are really excited, but then maybe your parents and siblings are not, that kind of thing. But what your guides and ancestors are wanting to say is like, we're here and we want you to continue, you know, working toward this. We want you to have this child if that's what you want. This trick-or-treating card is so random. This is so, I don't know why this is here. I'm not quite sure what it's supposed to mean. Maybe your baby will be a Scorpio. Because I'm thinking of how Halloween is during Scorpio season, but this 5 is making me think of Leo. We have a 5 here as well. 41 adds up to a 5. Wow, and then 17 adds up to an 8, and then 8 is Scorpio. So yeah, maybe Scorpio season or Leo season could be significant. If you have a baby during Scorpio season. Wait, hold on. October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. Wow, yeah, so maybe you're gonna start, because it would be 9 months if you like tried, if you conceived in around Halloween, like in October, and then the baby be born in July, which would be, depending on the date, could be Leo season or Cancer season. That's really interesting. Yeah, I there might be more of a meaning to this, but that's one where that kind of went. Okay, what else? What else is going on here? That's all I'm seeing right now. So let's get into the tarot and see like what else. I kind of feel like there's maybe more to the spirit. What else? Okay. The Knight of Swords. What else is going on here for Sagittarius risings? Regarding love. What's next in love for Sagittarius risings? The King of Pentacles. I also noticed the purple here. So perhaps it's like, maybe you're either intentionally or unintentionally working on your crown chakra, which is helping you be more intuitive and more open to here's the thing. I maybe for some of you, like, you are very spiritual, but I don't feel like that's the case for most of you. For most of you, by intuition, I'm not sensing that you're like communicating with spirits or like I think it's more so like you're trusting yourself. You're trusting your own gut feeling, your own intuition. What else is going on for Sagittarius risings regarding love? 3 of Pentacles. What's next for Sagittarius risings? 4 of Swords. Let's get one more for now. 4 of Cups. Okay, 2 4s. Back of the deck, we have the High Priestess. Wow, followed by the Empress. Okay, yeah. Wow. Okay. Inception. Or conception. Inception. What? Okay. Wow, the Knight of Swords, the King of Pentacles, 3 of Pentacles, 4 of Swords, 4 of Cups. All right. Yeah, okay. So I guess one interesting experience you might have, honestly, perhaps multiple times, repeatedly, like a common theme in this next phase is like you having to ask yourself, like, do you have the experience to make this choice on your own versus should you listen to other people? Because when I see this 3 of Pentacles, the 4 of Swords, and the 4 of Cups, like, I think that you have people around you who like to give you their 2 cents a lot. People who probably they have good intentions, right? But they are giving you their perspective. They are telling you like, okay, here's what I think. I don't think that you should do this. I think you should wait for this to happen. Or maybe you should, I think this is a good idea, but you should consider these circumstances, that kind of thing, right? People are just keep giving you their own opinions, their own advice. And I feel like you're following it, maybe actively following their advice, or maybe you're just kind of throwing your hands up in the air and saying, I'm not going to do anything about this. I'm just going to kind of let it see what happens. But then you keep ending up being dissatisfied with this 4 of Cups. I think when you're following other people's guidance, it leaves you feeling a little empty. You're like, well, I didn't want to do, like, literally you're over it. You're like, I didn't really want to do this. I just did it because everyone else was telling me that I was like on the wrong path, or that I was making a bad choice. But now I'm dissatisfied. And I think it's interesting because I almost have this feeling of like sometimes you're really, really like on a roll and you're like, no, I'm doing this. This is what I want to do. I'm going after it because you know that you're stable. You know that the age 33, like you could be 33 years old. Okay. You could be 33 or like, something, I don't know why I had to say that, but I feel like you're really, you're actually doing pretty well for yourself at this time, whenever you're watching this, but also in this next phase. Like, you're pretty secure. You probably have your own place that you live in. You work a job. You have your basic needs taken care of. You're living pretty comfortably, and you're pretty financially responsible. And in general, you're responsible and mature. Like, I think you have your basic needs covered. However, something about this, it makes me feel like the image of this person seems a little like not what you would expect almost from a King of Pentacles, which I usually don't care to say, like if I feel like the image doesn't really match the card's meaning. But again, I just feel like maybe people don't see how well you've thought this through. Maybe people don't see your experience, your dedication to being a parent. So when they see you being excited and being like, oh, I'm going to go after this, I have it all planned out, they think that you're being reckless, immature, you're moving too fast, you need to slow down. Or maybe they think it's all talk and no action. And I think that you've actually, like, you think about this a lot. I think that sometimes it might run your mind into the dirt. I don't know if that's the right saying, but you sort of, you think a lot about if you're making the right choice, if this is actually the best option for you. And I think that's why you're so susceptible to people's opinions, is because you're constantly ruminating on your options, on your choices, on what's the best option to make. And I get it. You know, you don't become the King of Pentacles by making a bunch of impulsive, goofy decisions. You think things through. But I think for you, you think about it so much to the point where you will, what is the word? Think, you know, when you're thinking about something so much, you're like scaring yourself out of making a choice. And so then you're asking people for advice and they give you advice, but it's not really useful. And you know what it is? It's like people, see how this person's drawing this image of this person? This person might have their own self-image, but depending on what this person draws, it's like, oh, we have a completely different vision of this person, right? It's like the people around you are painting you a portrait and being like, hey, this is how I see the situation. This is how I see you. And you're being like, well, that's not me. That what you just drew isn't me. But because you're not really trusting yourself sometimes, you start to see this image as the truth. And it keeps leaving you dissatisfied. It keeps leaving you feeling like, okay, what the hell, right? And that's why this Eye of the Needle card is here. Your guides want you to have your eye on the goal, on your goal, on what's important to you, and trust that you can do it. It's okay to ask for advice. It's okay to take people's advice. But if you feel in your core that you're prepared and you actually are prepared, then it's fine if you want to take the step. I'm curious, why do people think that this collective of Sagittarius rising should not move forward, have this child? Why do the people in the Sagittarius rising's lives think that they shouldn't do this? We have death. Why do people in the Sagittarius rising's lives think the world, why do people in the Sagittarius rising's lives think that they should not have this child? Spirit, why are they so? Temperance, let's get one more card. Why are they so opposed? Chariot, wow, okay. Spirit said major arcanas. We got all four. Not all four, there's a ton more, but we have four. For signs, we have Scorpio, Sagittarius, and Cancer. And then with the World, in this deck, in the Modern Witch Tarot, oh, I hope I don't, well, I was gonna say, I hope I don't get demonetized, but my videos aren't even monetized, so who fucking cares? We have, in this deck, it's the fixed signs, so Aquarius, Taurus, Leo, and Scorpio. But I always take the World to represent Saturn, the planet Saturn, which would rule Capricorn and Aquarius. You can pick whichever one resonates better for you. I prefer the Saturn, because Saturn makes more sense with the World, in my humble opinion. I'm doing some of my coffee, hold on. I wonder what that flower is. What a pretty flower. That might be somebody's national flower, I don't know. That reminds me of my friend who got a tattoo of, I think, Puerto Rico's flower? I don't know. Anyway. Well, she's Puerto Rican, that's why she did that. It wasn't like a random, let me just get it tattooed. Okay, anyway. And we have the Five of Wands on the back of the deck. Wow. Page of Cups and the Four of Wands. All right, so I do think that this is important that we have the Five of Wands on the back of the deck, because it's clear that I think the people around you feel very strongly about this. They really do. And I also feel called to say too, now take this only as it resonates, and this might actually piss some of you off, especially if you're already kind of in this energy. I think that the people in your life, they feel strongly about this, but they genuinely mean well. They simply see the situation differently from you. I think that's how they see it. And with these 4 cards here to represent why, like why they disagree with your decision to have a kid, why they're kind of pushing back, I think it's because you have recently gone through a pretty big transformation in your life. In fact, you might already have a child. Shit. You might already have one. And that, like, I think that you've been through a lot. And you've pulled yourself out of a lot of heavy stuff. Maybe, for example, you for some of you, you could have experienced homelessness for a little while. But what I feel is like you have been through a lot of stuff. And I think you have worked really hard to get to a place, again, where you're stable, where you are financially secure, where you have a place to live, to get to a place where you're healthy. Yeah, you've done a lot of work to get there. And I think you're finally at a place where you, if you wanted to, I had this feeling of like you could do whatever you wanted, you know, like you could easily build your career so fast. You could start investing, you could buy a house. Like you're in a really great place to be able to take a lot of really cool moves in your professional life, in your academic life, in your personal life. Like there's a lot of things you could do. You could travel the world, you could go on a cruise. Like I feel like there are a lot of things you could do, and I think the people around you, they want you to invest that into yourself. I don't know who these people are. It could be family, friends, it could be coworkers, it could be people that you've just met along the way. But I think that they really, like, they see that the sun is rising in your life. Oh, wow. I never noticed that the sun actually, I mean, this card comes right before this one. This is 13, this is 14. But that's interesting. Anyway, it's like they see that the sun is rising and they want you to continue growing for you. They want to see you continuing to put, like, pouring the water back into yourself, right? Instead of taking the cup and pouring it into new life. It's like they want you to just focus on you, because it's taken so long for you to get to this place where the sun is beaming, you know what I mean, where you're happy, where you're taken care of. And that's what I mean. Like I feel like they want you, for some of you, like, because I feel called to talk about this too, like the Page of Cups and the Four of Wands, it's possible that you maybe never really, like, you missed out on a lot of your teen years, you missed out on some of your childhood because of like really heavy stuff that was going on in your life, in your family, in your whatever situation. And I think that you're again, like right now you're able to take maybe like a 3-month vacation and just go to Italy and France and Japan or wherever you want to go. Or maybe you have the ability to, like, again, like get a really good job, or like there's just, I feel like there's a lot of things that you could do, a lot of fun things you could do, and the people around you don't get why you want to have a child, right? Because having a child is a full-time job. Like it's a commitment, it's a real commitment. And I think that you know that. And if right now you're listening to this and you're being like, what the hell? Like, I don't want to have a kid. Maybe you don't, and that's fine. This could be about something else. But I feel like for most of you, if this is resonating, in the future, you might end up wanting to have a kid, or this reading is about something besides a child, but something akin to that, some other kind of lifelong commitment. For some of you, I don't know why the Peace Corps just came through. The Peace Corps is not a lifetime commitment. It's like maybe 1-2 year program. It's like service, if you don't know what Peace Corps is. Maybe you want to join the military or something. There's this feeling of like something that's really heavy, that's really, you have to really commit. And that is making people be like, whoa, why would you do that? Like, these are the best years of your life. Why would you do that? You know? And I don't think they have bad intentions. I do want to make that clear. I think they just want you to do what's best for you. And they think that what's best for you is not having a child at this time. But you want to. I do feel like you're still going back and forth as well, even at like during this next phase. Like I think you're going back and forth. It's just that when you start trusting your gut, I think you're leaning more toward having a child. Take that only as it resonates though, right? So I'm gonna see now. Is there something else? I think we're gonna move on to advice now. A final card for advice for Sagittarius risings regarding what's next in love. If you were hoping for like a relationship or something, I'm sorry. This is like very specific, but I can't, you know, when it comes through, it comes through. Sorry. Oh, Rebel, free spirit. Okay. What is this? Oh, Earth. So we have Rebel with Free Spirit. My Sagittarius risings. How many times has somebody called you a free spirit? Probably your whole life, right? That's all they ever say about Sagittarius risings. That and that you guys are blunt, but I love a Sagittarius rising. I have a Leo rising, so I love my Sagittarius people. What am I doing? Oh, Rebel. Okay. Actually, before I like read it, I do want to, is there anything that I want to say on my own? Well, I do notice that there's crescent moons here. And there's also some on this Chariot card. And I guess like, I'm going to read you the message that's in the booklet, but one thing I do feel here is that you are being a bit rebellious. I think, again, this feeling of you're rebelling against the people, like maybe your immediate family, but your ancestors support you very strongly. Or maybe it's like I definitely think you're trusting your emotions, you're trusting your inner self, your gut feeling. But at the same time, like you might identify as not identify as in like your race or something, but you might feel like you have you really resonate with the concept of a free spirit, just being able to roam free, not having any ties anywhere. And perhaps that's what people want you to continue to embody, because to me, the Chariot kind of gives free spirit energy. It's very fast moving, very like based on its values, it just does what it wants. And that's kind of who I think you are. But I think that for you too, like you worry about this. You worry that if you have a child, your freedom is going to be taken away from you to a degree, which is true. It definitely will be, right? Because especially, kids require a lot of time and attention. It is what it is, right? But I think that you also want this for yourself. But this word rebel is like really speaking to me. It's possible, or I guess pay attention to how you react to people. Sometimes, I don't know what it is, but there are folks who are just very contrarian. Like no matter what you say, they will say the opposite. So if somebody around you is like saying you shouldn't have a kid, you're like, well, I still want one and I'm gonna have one. And then if they say, okay, fine, then you don't have one, then you'll be like, or fine, have one. Then you would be like, no, I don't want one. Like this feeling of you maybe just trying to rebel almost. So pay attention to that as well. But let's see what the message here says. Not Alexander Hamilton. Okay. So you're finding yourself imprisoned in rituals and routines that no longer carry the same meaning they once did, yet you have solidly stayed the course for fear of others' disapproval and criticism. You're now questioning the conditioning that has been imposed upon you through parental, familial, and societal norms, and feeling the urge to break out of these patterns. It's time to do so. Quiet the inner critic and release the judgments you carry about yourself. You might want to read the book, The Untethered Soul. That could be significant. Speak your truth without blame, shame, or judgment, and allow others to have their reactions to your doing so. Express yourself through your actions, your clothing, and your art, and be willing to take some risks in all these ways, and you will experience a newfound freedom that does no harm to anyone or anything. It's your life, live it. I'm going to read this. The rebel ancestor. Oh, so essentially too, what these cards are is that they represent like the spirit of or energy of an ancestor who wants to make themselves known to you. But I also can just you can just take the message as a message if you don't resonate with like ancestors communicating with you, that kind of thing. So the rebel ancestor challenges the status quo. It's not about rebelling against something, but rather making a stand for what they believe in and speaking about and acting on these beliefs without the need for others' agreement or approval. The rebel is a nonconformist who is willing to be assertive and make a stand for their beliefs when necessary, refusing to live within the usual structure of societal norms. There are many examples of rebels throughout history: Susan B. Anthony, John Lennon, Martin Luther King Jr., Nelson Mandela, Joan of Arc, Rosa Parks, and that guy. Some rebels may exert such an influence that they change the society in which they live, while others may live their truth more quietly, yet still boldly push the boundaries of what is considered normal. Interesting. So, wow. For some of you too, I'm getting this feeling now that you might also be playing the father role, but you are the mother. Like you could be a single mother, for example, and wanting to have another child, and that's why there's this pushback, because it's like you want to do this anyway. But the reason why this father card's coming through is almost as if that's the energy you've been in. You've been playing both roles, whatever. Yeah, very interesting. Anything else that Yeah, I like the message in this card where it talked about how rebelling isn't necessarily just going against something, but rather making a stand for something. So keep that in mind too. Like it's not always about just like what you're fighting against, but also what you're fighting for. And if what you want is a family and to be a parent and to raise children, and you are prepared and secure enough to do that, great, amazing, go for it. But if your intention behind having this child is just in spite of people or maybe to fill a void or something like that, then perhaps that's not the best reason. I guess pay attention to your mindset behind why you want children, and also it's okay to do things when other people don't necessarily think it's the best choice for you. Again, I say hear these folks out because I feel that they have good intentions. Even if like what they're saying might be like really stupid and you really don't agree with it, but I think they say it from a place of like, oh, I want you to be okay type of thing. So, yeah, that's really all that I'm really seeing here. I could keep talking, but I think I would just be repeating what I've already said. Um, Yeah. Yeah. And I also, one thing I'm going to add too is I think not only are you in a really good place, but the best way I could put it is that you're at your peak. And I don't really like to say that because yeah, I think like that's subjective and everything, but there's something about like people think that you're at your best place in life. Maybe because of your age, your like what you've already accomplished, maybe you're just really on a roll. And I feel like you've reached really beautiful heights in your career, especially. And people are like, but if you have a kid, then it's gonna kind of halt everything. Like, why would you do that type of thing? Um, so yeah, I think that's my final message. I'm feeling a bit loopy right now. But yeah, Sagittarius risings, thank you so much for watching this reading all the way through. If you did, if you enjoyed this reading and you want to support me in any way, feel free to like this video, leave a comment telling me how it resonated. You can also subscribe to my channel because I'd be happy to have you here again. If you have any suggestions for future readings, please be sure to let me know in the comment section because I love to hear from people from what they want to see in readings and stuff. But yeah, other than that, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and thanks so much for joining me for this reading. Bye!